We got one more cake to sing.
Can you get my water bottle for me, please? Is it in the kitchen? Is there water in it?
Yeah.
Did you just...
I shook it.
Oh, it looked like you were sipping it.
Mm-mm,
That's what it looked like.
I have too much lip gloss on today.
You got too much lip gloss on? Here, go. Put some water in there for me, please.
What temperature? I was about to say what flavor.
Cold.
Cold flavor, okay.
Hey, everybody. I don't know. Am I saying hi to everybody? Because I don't see everybody. Hi, Gigi. Oh. It's 7:01. I'm writing my questions down while I wait for y'all. Hi. I'm writing my questions down while I wait for y'all, all peoples, to get in here to this live. I have my assistant back home. She's so nervous. Why are you so nervous?
I'm not nervous. I'm just putting on my iPad.
She made herself an eye patch out of paper towel and a squishmallow lanyard. Very innovative. Very innovative. What's up, everyone? I'm going to start to send this to some folks to get them in this live. You know, still got a little bit of the vocals going on or whatever. It's hot outside, and it's going to get hotter, and I'm already ready for fall. I'm done with summer. It's too warm for me. Let me outside in a pea coat and a fedora, or a nice knit and a button down and some boots. Is anybody else feeling this way? I'm done with summer. I've had enough of summer. I'm over it. I'm ready for all of the fall drinks and fashions, and I feel like, yes, I feel like I'm so hot. I feel like I'm melting all the time. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what, but I've had enough of it. But also, look at my attire today. Very fall, very witchy. I'm going to go there with y'all for a little bit. It's the blue moon, full moon, in the sign of Pisces. And so after this live is done, if it's dark enough, we're going outside to see if we can see the moon, because apparently it won't happen again for another 14 years or whatever. And since I have the energy to want to look at it now, okay, see, thank you, man. Thank you. Autumn is my favorite season. Summer is great to me if I'm not in New York. If I have to be in New York during the summertime, I'm not thrilled. I don't enjoy it. It's just a thing. I don't know. But yeah. Yes. Okay, listen. I don't want to get too witchy over here, because but I'm thinking maybe some rituals will go down tonight. Not really. Burning of sage, sing some affirmations, looking at the moon. That's the extent of it. Yeah, but anyway, I really could continue rambling, and I might just, but you guys, hi, welcome back to Shifts and Giggles, where I reach out into the world to talk to some people that I know and some that I don't, and we get to the shit that has led to shifts and hopefully have some laughs along the way. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. It sounded like something was falling. It's not in my apartment, it's in somebody else's apartment, but I can hear it. So there's that. Thank you for tuning in again tonight. Y'all are going to enjoy this one. I'm going to enjoy this one because I feel like this woman matches my energy. In fact, I feel she actually has more energy than I do. And y'all will see. She's really fantastic. Today I have Julie Hartigan. She is, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Julie. She is a chef. She is a content creator, a social media influencer. Those are just a few of her titles, but I'm going to go ahead and bring Julie in so y'all can meet her. Talking about all the stuff that she got going on, and we'll see where the conversation takes us. Hi.
Hey girl, how are you?
Ritual? Good. How are you?
I'm excellent. It's so good to be here. And I was listening to you talk about like being done with summer and ready for fall, and I'm in like the hunter green sweatshirt, but I'm getting one last beach weekend this weekend. I'm squeezing one last beach weekend in. Then I'll be all about the fall.
I don't even want to do another beach. It's supposed to be like 90 degrees later this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm over it. I don't like it. I've had enough. I've enjoyed as much of the summer as I possibly can. I'm ready to like pack it up.
You did good work. You're like ready to go. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. Really.
So much for coming on because you're like a busy woman.
I call myself like a multi-hyphenated person lately. When people say, like, what do you do? I'm like, okay, hold up. How much space, how many characters can I use?
Right. You can just simply say all the things. All the things.
I did come up at one point with like one quick sentence way of saying it, but you know what? I'm just having too much fun to narrow down to just the one thing. It all has like a through line. I think actually for all of us, it's really all you need is like, what's the thing that lights you up that's the through line for all of it? And then you look for the connections, connect the dots, right? And that's how you can kind of be, I don't know, doing a little bit of a lot of things and having a really good time with your life and your career.
Yeah, I get that. So for everyone here who doesn't know you, tell them who you are. And did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yeah, Julie Hartigan, like Hartigan or cardigan.
Oh,
so yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Exactly, yeah. So to summarize, I guess, I'm an engineer turned chef who's now, like you said, Ra, content creator, influencer. I've written thousands of recipes, cooking videos, all the things, but lots of brand collaborations and on air. But my newest passion project is bringing women on pampering, authentic trips to Italy and other places to meet with really inspiring women where we go. Women chefs, women winemakers, women artisans. So the through line for me is food, travel, food culture, wine, having a good time, right? So that, like, if we were going to play that connect the dots kind of a game, that would be how I would describe that.
Okay, I like that. Food, travel, wine, and having a good time.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that actually rhymes.
But you did it. I just repeated what you said.
Merch, it's time for merch. Do you have merch yet, by the way? Do you have Shifts and Giggles merch? I want a tee.
Oh my gosh, Julie. I don't yet, but the wheels have been spinning. I was trying to get like a mug like this, but this is a lot.
You could just get the cute stickers, like the kids do. Put it on your MacBook, put it on your mug. You need a merch store. Whoever's watching it thinks that Rod needs a merch store. Shifts and Giggles merch.
Oh my God.
Who else wants to see cute trucker hat, lavender trucker hat? I can see it with your cute font.
Oh my God, you guys. We haven't even been on here for 5 minutes and she's already like getting my brand and business together. Okay. You listen. Okay, we gotta backtrack because I want to know about all the things, but you started out as an engineer.
Yeah, major nerd girl.
How did you get there?
Yeah, well, growing up, we did not have a lot of money. Things were tight, and I was good at math. I just happened to be good at math. It was one of those things, probably from my mom and my grandpa through the bloodline, right? Like my grandparents, none of my grandparents got to go to high school, right? It was like that kind of thing. Not a lot of people in my family got to go to college. And for me, being good in math led to, I actually just filled out like a bubble form in the guidance counselor's office. You know how they would do those, and it would say,
Yeah.
oh, you're going to be good at, and it was architect, engineer, or accountant. And accounting sounded, sorry to any accountants out there, it just sounded a little too dry. I've always been a people person, right? Architecture sounded cool, but this was a while back, and the guidance counselor was so funny. He's like, you don't have a portfolio, you can't do that. And I think back then, I think when I was younger, I took no for an answer. I didn't say like, this is what I want, I'm going to go do it. So engineer it was. And really, it's so funny because it had nothing to do with like an interest. It was like, I'm going to make me some money and have a stable career. And I did it for 12 years. But honestly, I always waitressed, worked in restaurants, hostess, catered, did all the things. And my whole like joy place was cooking. Like where I grew up, there were a lot of different families from different countries. I was like the weirdo kid behind the grandma going, what are you making? What's that ingredient? Like I always call it like grandma recipes, you know, like that's the thing for the holiday. That's the thing that only they know how to make. So, you know, I did it. I was like, honestly, you're going to laugh. My first job out of undergrad was working in a toilet paper plant. I wore a hard hat and safety shoes, and I made Charmin toilet paper. I was a process engineer. And then that I was like, okay, this is fun for like a hot year. And then I went back to grad school and did more of like an MBA, MIS. So I was like that like management consulting person, like traveling around. I got to travel a ton, but it was funny. I was good at what I did, but the whole time I was like, I'm just going to do this and sock money away until I can open the gourmet shop, run the B&B, have the coffee shop. Like I would dream. And, you know, I finally just hit a point. There were a bunch of things that happened right in my early 30s that enabled me to make the career change. And, you know, it was always there. It wasn't that the things propelled it. It was like, it gave me permission. I use that phrase a lot when I talk about my life and my career, like give yourself permission. Because like, honestly, I think so many of us are waiting for someone else to give us permission somewhere, some like authority figure or some person we're seeking approval from, when really we have to give ourselves permission to live how we want to live and be who we want to be.
Right. I like that. I wonder, well, I was going to ask a question about like having permission as a woman and as a mother. Like we regularly we aren't granted permission to be who we feel we should be as women, or who we feel we should be as mothers, or what that looks like for us. You said that there were some things that happened in your 30s that gave you permission to step into this new role. If it's not too much, would you mind like elaborating on that?
You know, it's funny. So all through my 20s with my tech degrees and tech career, I was like all masculine energy, I guess, right? I was like, I can do anything the guys can do. Like this was when there weren't that many women in tech or in STEM, right? Like I'm sorry, my dog, I don't know if you guys can hear him. Undergrad, it was 7 guys to every girl in my school. Grad school, 12 to 1. I worked with all men. But I had this whole like feminine fun side that I always wanted to enjoy and use more. I wound up, as I crossed over into my 30s, I started working for a company. It was a great company. I worked for the president. She was a very smart woman. The head of sales was a woman. I was like, okay. I got married young. I was already married at this point. I got married in my early 20s. And I was like, okay, well, if we're going to start a family, how am I going to do this with this career where I'm traveling and so stressed out all the time? And these 2 women really adored me. And I saw a path for myself finally where I always worked with men. So I was even pregnant with my first daughter, Delaney. She's in college now. She's a senior in college. I have to like round them up. It's crazy. I know. I'm like, how are my babies?
It's insane.
It's crazy. It's completely insane. So I was pregnant and I was home morning sick, and thankfully I got to work from home. This is way pre-pandemic, right? My daughter was a senior in college, and it was 9/11, and I worked downtown, like overlooking the Trade Center. So did my ex-husband, my daughter's dad, and obviously for so many New Yorkers and everyone around the world, it was a horrible, stressful day. The turn of events for me that propelled it was that the company I was with went out of business, because I was running like training programs for tech training for like Goldman Sachs and Vanguard and all these big companies. So, you know, being home, pregnant, getting some severance, unemployment, having the baby, I looked at the economy and I was like, it would be just dumb for me. Like, I think for me at that point, I don't know that I was even a woman who was ready to say like, this is what I want. I'm just going to go do this. Those gave me the like check boxes to say, okay, so I'll be traveling again. We'll be paying a nanny. I don't even want this career. So that was when I decided, and my ex-husband and I decided it's time to career change. So I had my second daughter just like 2 years later. I was a stay-at-home mom for a few years. So like type A management consultant becomes stay-at-home mom for 3 years. And I was like, yeah, let's go to the park and we'll do the art in the park and the play dates. And then the second, my little one, I raised my daughters, for anyone who's a New Yorker. I bet you have a lot of New Yorkers that are watching. It was in Hoboken. So I was always like in the New York metro area. So it was great because it was like urban living light with the two kids. We walked everywhere. We had a great time. But the day my little one started preschool, I started working at a culinary school in the city for free tuition. And that was how I did the career change. So I did it when they were like toddlers.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, wow. You were just like, she's about to be in school. It's time for me to move. To like get going like, because.
Yeah. And I didn't grapple with the stay-at-home mom thing. Like, I just enjoyed it because for me, it was like a break. Like, I'd been so type A, stressed out, like high-powered this career that I didn't want, right? Yeah. And I didn't want to live that way. And so for me, it was like a breather. It was grounding. It was a break. I got close with my daughters, but I also knew what I wanted on the other side of that. So, but I got a lot of flack from like lots of people, like college friends, former college, like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? You know, so that was like really going out. That was the first time I really went out on a limb in my life like that. And I have no regrets. I worked at a culinary school, a professional school, ICE Culinary in Manhattan. And I learned so much working there, and it got me free tuition. So I didn't have to do the student loan thing. And then it was different as a career changer too. I was like diving in to learn. It was like I was a kid in a candy store. I was like finally where I wanted to be. And then because my girls were little, you know, I would like personal chef for families that I was friends with or cater parties. I was doing like projects while in school, teaching some cooking classes. But then I got an internship at Food Network and at a cooking magazine, Saveur. It's like a food culture magazine. And that's how I got into what I really did for quite a while in the food world, like recipe writing and cooking videos and teaching people how to cook and collaborating with brands to promote them too through cooking and lifestyle and entertainment. So it's been such a like fun ride. I've been in the food world as long as I was in tech. You know what I mean? So now it's like I've got this split career thing going on.
Right. It sounds like a fun ride. Really, really quick. I used to work for Charmin as a brand ambassador. I don't know if you remember, they used to do the pop-up in Times Square.
Yeah, that's so funny.
They used to do this pop-up in Times Square called the Charmin Restrooms. It literally looked like the Charmin ads like threw up in a building. That's what it was. It was one of my most favorite jobs. I've met a lot of good friends out of that. I just went to like
hilarious. Like, so the plant that I worked in, a ginormous manufacturing plant. Like, I worked shifts with the guys on the line and changed out equipment, and we made all the Charmin for the North America in this one plant. It's west of Scranton, for anyone who knows the area. So Scranton, like the office. Like, but we had a good time. They hired like, I think 30 engineers right out of college, and we just partied. And like, I'm still friends with a lot of them. You know, that was so bonding to go work in that kind of vibe. But when the pandemic hit and nobody had any toilet paper, I was like, I know why. Because it takes a while. Like, we would bring in actual trees that they would chop up and process and turn to pulp and turn to Charmin. But so that's hilarious. We have something in common.
We do have something in common. We have Charmin in common. We also have the love for food. I love to eat it. You love to eat it and make it.
And learn about it. Like, I think where I am now is like more about like, it's almost back to where I was when I was little. Like, when I'm, especially with the travel programming that I'm doing and the trips I'm bringing women on, I love learning like, but why did you name that cut of pasta that? And why that sauce only from that region? And what is that ingredient? And wait, I've never seen somebody do it that way before. Like, I love those kinds of like little specific things about food culture. I think it really gives you, pun intended, I guess, like a taste of where you are to experience the world. You know?
So, well, what are your thoughts on food culture here in the States? I don't know if it's like, I feel like it's a normal question to ask, but I also feel like it's so weighted and full of politics and consumerism. So I'm
Yeah.
if you care to answer,
Yeah,
what are your
yeah, yeah.
thoughts about like
No, cool.
the food culture here in the
You
States?
know, it's so funny. I feel like I've been following the food world for so long, even like pre-Food Network, if you will. And like, you know, there are a lot of trends that come and go.
Hmm.
You know, there was like kale smoothie for quite a while, or I think if we all go back to the basics of eat seasonally, support local producers when you can,
Yeah.
eat authentically, support like locals making their local cuisine. And we're blessed to live in New York City where you can get any cuisine of the world.
Yeah.
There's somebody here that can make it,
Yeah.
right? I do think it's complicated when, you know, someone's taking credit for someone else's work.
Hmm.
You know, especially a white person taking credit for a person of color's work or their culture. That's not cool
Hmm.
at all. It's awful. But I want to celebrate everyone's food and everyone's culture.
Right.
So like that I'm big on. And I'm speaking of people who are into the food world and food culture. Like, you know, I always had to remind every single coworker of mine when we were developing recipes or doing videos, I'm like, if you drive an hour or two outside of Manhattan, people don't have access to half of these ingredients. They don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Like we get to try a lot of we're really lucky that way. We're
Yeah.
exposed to so many different cultures through food here. I think it's a shame sometimes when I do travel within places in the United States and I'm like, oh, wow, like you really haven't gotten to try a lot of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's to me, it's always been one of life's biggest gifts and such a joy, you know, whatever the culture is. Like, so whether it's somebody who's moved here, I love, I'm just a geek when you'll hear me describe myself as a geek a lot. I love the nuances when a group of people emigrate or come to the United States
Mhm.
and then they transform their own culture from home into something unique and different in the US based on what they have access to.
Yeah.
Like it's its own derivative form of cuisine.
Mhm.
That's super cool. Like I just think all of that is so, so interesting because food, you know, we were talking about through lines earlier,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
like to
Yeah.
me, food is like what, like I said, what grandma made you, it's what you had at the celebration, no matter where we're from. It's so unifying,
Mhm.
right? It's like everyone eats, everyone needs to eat, but it's also just something special that brings us back to home, that reminds us of our heritage, that reminds us of our family, that um, hopefully triggers some positive memories for us, right? But
Mhm.
so learning what those little differences and nuances are across cultures, whether it's authentic in the place where it's really from or a derivative here in the US, I think is really fun.
Okay.
Did that
Yeah.
answer your question?
Yeah, that did answer my question and then some. I appreciate that because I had a follow-up question, which was going to be like, what does food mean to you? But I feel like you kind of said it all. Um, what was the first trip that you took that you thought, you know what, I think I'm going to take other women with me to explore
Mm,
these other regions of the world and and also support women run businesses in other countries? Like what was the first trip that you were like, oh yeah,
yeah.
this is
There's a
what I'm gonna
few,
do?
there's a mashup of influences. So, okay, so I've always loved to travel. It's been one of
Mm.
my favorite things. And I was always the trip planner, whether it was for my group of friends or me and my ex or, you know, in any way. It was always, and when I say trip planner, I don't mean like, yeah, I get the good flight, but more like
These are the things
I
that we're
would be
going
like
to do.
digging into the local books and asking every local grandma and where should we go for this? Like
Uh-huh.
to me, that's just always been such a fun piece of travel,
Uh-huh.
right? When you can really like find out the like off the beaten path. So that was already a passion of
Mm.
mine. And then one of my biggest clients for the last 10 years was creating content for Weight Watchers corporate as a brand,
Mm.
right? I'm not like ascribing to diet culture or talking about points, like, but as a brand, I did a lot of projects for them. And for a while they were doing these wellness cruises, which were really fun. I helped them launch them. We were serving my recipes on board these cruise ships, and it's mostly women, right? Weight
Right.
Watchers members, and of all ages, really. Like they, you know, a lot of them are more like our moms or our aunts, but it's all
Right.
ages, and it's a great program people follow. But the thing I noticed that really struck me when I was working on these cruises, I'd be doing like demos in the ship theater and like
Uh-huh.
hanging out with all the women. They were all so fun loving and awesome. Was like, you know what? Women want to have that kind of like girlfriend's time
Yeah.
to celebrate themselves and have a good time and get away. And you would
Yeah.
see women like they would be like, okay, I'm going with my sister who lives cross country, or with my college roommate, or you know, with with my mom. You'd see mother-daughter duos. And that really, really struck me as something so special and so specific. And I realized too that a lot of women, again, I'll go back to that need permission or like give yourself permission. Like they were saying yes to themselves by going on this cruise and taking this trip. And I was like, you know what? So those are two things that were happening. And this was, you know, the travel I always loved, the cruises I was doing pre-pandemic. We ran like 5 or 6 of them. Then I have a really close friend, and I'll give her travel brand a shout out for anyone who loves to do like outdoor travel. My friend Allison of Woe Travel. She's actually in India right now with her hubby and their little son.
Nice.
Yeah, she's like, her husband's from India and they want to go. Their little boy is a year old, so he's going back home, like back to where his dad grew up. Yeah. But she's had a company where it's women having adventures outside, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, challenging themselves through travel. And I love the second she told me about her business, I was like, that is just so cool. So it was kind of like, what if my love of food and my love of travel, but I was like creating that kind of like supportive, loving, everyone feels special, you go girl vibe, like we were doing on the wellness cruises, you know, combined with when we get there to the destinations that we go to. I'm in an international women's culinary networking group called Le Dame d'Escoffier. It's all about women supporting women. Julia Child was a member. It's really cool. It's like, and it's all worldwide. And I was like, you know what? My first trips were to Italy because it's just a like iconic place that so many people want to visit, and there's so many amazing things to explore there. But you know, everywhere around the world, it's not unlike the US, where the men are often put more to the forefront, and you know, whether they get the backing for the restaurant or they're handed down the winery, and maybe the women in the family are doing the marketing and the men. So to me, there was something so fascinating about creating really empowering trips for women that are celebratory and fun and, you know, bonding, and you're going to go explore another culture, but you're also going to go and hear inspiring women's stories and support them in their careers. So, you know, if you're someone who feels a little bit stuck, or you're like, you know, maybe it's like a new life phase you're in, or you want a career change, or you're trying to make a big life decision, you come to Italy and you meet with these amazing women chefs or women who like inherited or took over the family property and raised their kids on a winery or making amazing wine. It's like it's a mind expander, right? It's like a life expander. It's going to help you find those shifts. So I like to say that my trips have a transformative travel element to them, but it's done in a very light way, right? Like it's kind of like, let's go have a great time, be super supportive and fun girlfriends time, have a great time in Italy, but also leave really inspired and uplifted. So that's kind of how that all came.
That's really amazing. That's so awesome. You going on one of your trips is on my bucket list. I don't know when it's gonna happen. Someone asked, what's the name of the culinary Janine, what's the name of the culinary networking group again?
Hey Janine, it's Les Dames d'Escoffier. So it's based on a French term. D'Escoffier, I believe, I hope I'm not wrong, he was it's funny, it's a man, created the restaurant structure, like in, I think, the 1800s in France. It's one of those things you have on your first quiz in culinary school, so I kind of forgot. But it's an international organization. It's LES, Dame, like a woman, d'Escoffier. DAMES, Les Dames d'Escoffier. I'm in the New York chapter, and I'm also in the Italy chapter. You can be a member in multiple chapters, and it's just a really cool way, women in food, wine, spirits, and hospitality for networking and support.
Okay, that's awesome. So my friend Janine was in, I'm sorry if I'm telling your business, Janine, but she was in Paris not too long ago, and was taking cooking classes while she was there. So cooking is something that she also loves.
Cool. Janine, maybe Rock can connect us.
Yeah, yay, look at that, a link. I love it.
Janine's laughing.
I love it. So what has this changed? What has traveling taught you about yourself or the world that you didn't understand before? What are some lessons that you've learned through your choice to follow I feel like I have so many questions. Okay, let's start with that.
Ask them all. Let me think about the best way to answer that, because I've been to some I got to go to Japan for 2 weeks right before the pandemic for a birthday. My birthday's in November, so it was like, right before the holidays. And that was
Are you
really
a
cool. It was my
Scorpio?
first, I am
Okay.
November 8th. Yes, I am a Scorpio.
Okay.
It was, getting to go to Asia and Japan as an island with its like own unique specific look and culture and vibe. I think the thing that's so interesting, and I've always fundamentally believed this, but it's that no matter how far away you are or how different everything seems around you, that people are people and humans are humans, and we all have the same like worries, love for our families, sense of humor, concerns in the world. So to me, the more you travel, the more empathetic you become and loving. And I don't know, you learn to feel at home anywhere, I think. I don't know if that was like the biggest aha, do you know what I mean? Because I could say like, oh, this food or this architecture or something like that, but there's so many cool nuances to that all around the world. But really it's just that like I was sitting on this really cool, in Japan the trains are beautiful. They have the really hyper modern ones where they're like pushing people on to fit them in. But then we were out in Kyoto and going up Mount Fuji, and they had some trains that looked like something from like an Agatha Christie movie or something, like where it was velvet seats and a white pearl circle handle and like beautiful brass. Like Japan is just beautiful. And I was sitting in this train car with my boyfriend, and this sweet little man was sitting across from me, and he was just kind of smiling and like that, and he didn't speak any English. Like in Japan it was very interesting. Not in a lot of places, if you go to Europe or other places in the world, you can kind of muddle through, or maybe they speak a little English. But in Japan, we actually realized like a lot of people did not. And so it was just really cool to be able to like bond with, joke around with, and communicate with another human all the way across the world from a whole nother generation who didn't speak a lick of English. I didn't speak a lick of Japanese, but we had like a cute little moment in conversation and like kind of like hugged before he got off the train. Like I just think that I just love people.
Yeah.
And so for me that's one of the biggest gifts of travel for sure.
Okay. What have you learned? Like, what are some of the challenges that you faced in shifting careers? And now that you've been in this this career, food and travel for the last 12, 15 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some challenges you faced, and what did you learn about yourself when getting through those? Like, what pushed you to get through them, and what did you learn along the way?
So something that I only really recently realized this, because even in the food career, I've had some like evolutions and twists and turns of what I've been doing, right? I was joking at the beginning, I've done a lot of different things, but I've also done some main things that have faded, and I've gone on to other things. And I think the first thing was that you won't realize how the things you've learned in your past can help you in the present until you're there. So for anyone out there who's watching, who's considering a career change, you are not leaving behind all the things you know. If anything, you're entering the new field with like a whole armful of really interesting skills that maybe people in that field don't have, right? Yeah. So for me, going into food, coming out of project management and like doing like it just gave me an edge that was different from a lot of other people who had, but maybe I was lacking like the pure creative, the art, the beauty. I was project budget, like, you know what I'm saying? But it came in really handy. So the piece that's been the most challenging and really it's been interesting for me. I'm a personal development geek. That's actually how Ra and I met, right? I've always been this way. I have a minor in psychology. I'm from engineering school. Who knows? Why did I want a minor in psychology? I did. I just thought it was cool. So it was kind of like after the pandemic, I realized I came out of culinary school and I got in with a bunch of great brands. I was doing work with like Weight Watchers and Bed Bath Beyond and Real Simple and writing recipes and shooting videos and doing projects. It was all project based and a company paying me to work with them. And a lot of brands and companies lost budget. I started creating my own things. Like I have healthy cooking programs for one. I have different coaching programs I've hosted, wellness coaching, now the travel. So I've been an entrepreneur, like running my own business for the past 12, 15 years or so, but most of it was as a consultant, which was very similar to what I did with tech. So it felt very natural to me. But I've got to tell you, nothing is more confronting. I'm in a really cool, supportive, I love my girls and my mastermind, peer mastermind group. We're all women entrepreneurs. We all have very different subject matters that we work on, but nothing is more confronting than being an entrepreneur and a solopreneur. And it's like joyful to be the master of your own ship, and you can take your brand and business wherever you want, but you're your own boss, you're your employee, your HR, your you have to be your head of marketing. And honestly, I think I've gone through more personal and self-growth and bumped into more career challenges as a pure entrepreneur and solopreneur. Put me in a corporate environment, I'm like, I got this. Put me down and say, okay, this is your baby now. You would think it was very, very interesting. You would think that would be like, oh, I got this. I can do whatever I want. It's my, it was a really, really big learning curve. How do I structure my day? Every entrepreneur I know struggles with this one thing, and it's so funny. It's, how do I say I've done it enough? Like, define done. You know, I don't have a boss holding it over me and saying your deadline is next Friday, or like it's my deadline. So it's hard to say I can shut my laptop, close up shop, not think about work. I think the other piece for me, I love Instagram. So anyone who's watching, follow me. I'm here at Julie Hartigan. You'll see behind the scenes. I'm real goofy. I show lots of stuff. But there's also really tricky to like find the fine line there, right? Like theoretically, I could be working 24/7. I could be on some other platform, sharing some other thing, doing some other. So knowing when to say, I'm good. I can stop now and not feel guilty about it. That's been honestly, and I think life gives you exactly what you need when you need it. You know, this was my moment. This was when I needed to be learning those lessons. So yeah, that's been the biggest struggle for sure.
Okay. You guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them.
Raising kids, anything, getting divorced. I'm divorced.
You know,
so many
Julie,
things.
I feel like
so many things.
So many things.
Career changing again and again. I'm in my third iteration. Later in life, career changes. I'm a total age embracer. I'll say it. I'm 53. So like, don't ever feel like, So don't ever feel like you can't do something at any point in your life. What?
I didn't know you were 53.
Most
I mean, like, I know that you have college age kids,
I mean,
but like, it never occurred to me. I thought you were like in your late 40s. I'm like, oh, she's like maybe a decade older than me.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's like I'm just having a good time. I have friends of all ages. I have friends older than me. I have millennial friends. I have friends in their 20s. I'm just it's always so hard traveling with strangers. Have you ever had to fire a client you were traveling with? Oh, no, it's been, thank you. No, you know, I apply psychology. You know, I've definitely had some challenging travelers, and if you apply empathy to a situation and a little psychology, you can usually realize that the person's being, whatever they're being, is either crying for attention, is going through something, it's a matter of not letting it get to you as the host and the business person, right? Best folks 53,
yes. Okay, sorry. My friend Janine is 53 also.
Well, so. I'm going to say this. It's like Gen X, like I liked all the memes during the pandemic about like Gen X has got this. They were like latchkey kids. They came home from school. No one was there. They were making all their own meals and doing all the laundry. So no, I've never had to fire a client, although, you know, the friend who I mentioned who she's had her travel company for about 10 years, and she's had to have some people go to the no-fly list, if you will, after a trip. And, you know, it's tricky because, again, you want to have empathy, but you also can't put anyone else in danger. You can't, I have a vibe about me that Ra knows, and anyone who knows me knows, is that I was bullied a lot as a kid. I didn't have like the easiest kind of childhood, and I have like a whole inherent like everyone's welcome at my table vibe to me, like truthfully. Like I never want people to feel bad about themselves or not welcome or unsafe in any way emotionally definitely around me, but especially around anything I create. So I think that as those situations come up, it'll be yet another thing for me to learn how to handle tactfully and work and, you know, and handle it really.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that. Her handle is Julie Hartigan, JULIEHARTIGAN, Hartigan, like cardigan.
Like, or
or
Hartigan, yeah,
Hartigan.
exactly.
um,
Gen X rules. I agree completely.
you
We're
know,
like the little hidden generation. Like everyone's like, Gen X, who are they? You know, y'all watch our movies and listen to our music.
I mean, we do. And I'm one of those people who's like, what? I listen, it's too many, it's too much. Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, not I don't know what I am anymore. I've had this debate with my friend for the longest. I keep saying I'm a millennial and she tells me that she might be here. Angela, what do you keep telling me? I don't know where she's at, but she's
Thanks,
usually
Jenny.
here. I'm always like, I'm a millennial. She's like, actually, you're not. You're like something else. I
Some
don't.
other. Well, my daughter, I have a younger daughter, who's a sophomore in college, and they call her Old Lucy at work because she's kind of like, like she's like, well, she works at a coffee shop, so she's
Okay.
tired a lot, and like, but also she just likes like cute grandpa thrift sweaters and like vintage phones and typewriters, and they're like, oh, you're like Old Lucy. So I think it's more a matter of what your energy is and your vibe is, what generation you are, really. No, I don't know. I've never defined myself, Raw, like, when I stayed home with my daughters, I wasn't like, I'm a stay-at-home mom, I have to do this, that, or
Yeah.
that. Like, I still was going out in the city with my single girlfriends, doing things with them. I was hanging with guys I used to work with who were in their 60s. I was doing the mom thing. I went to culinary school in my late 30s, mid late 30s, and I was like hanging out with 22-year-olds who just came into culinary school right out of high school. So like I've kind of never, for me, it's always been an energy exchange. Like, who do I vibe with?
Right.
Like, who's fun? Who gets me? Who do I get? Who do I like?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of
Yeah.
mischievous and like to have a good time. So
Yeah.
that's more how I define my generation, or whatever, you know what I mean? Are you a good time? Are you cool? Are you,
Yeah.
you want to like be upbeat and positive and supportive and just like look for the fun in life, no matter what life is dishing you, then like let's hang out.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned, so also really quickly, there's stuff happening in the hallway of my building. So if you hear that, I'm sorry, New York. You mentioned divorce, and I don't really talk about it very much. Um, some of my friends are, and I only feel like sometimes I don't feel like, and I've been divorced for quite some time. I don't feel like I've transitioned very well from being divorced to being single. Like, what was that transition like? How did your girls handle it? And how did it affect your business?
Okay. So let's see. It was hard. It was a very hard decision to come to. I got married really young. My ex is a very lovely person. We're still like on great terms. Everything's good there. His family had kind of almost adopted me. Like, really, they took me under their wing. And so the decision to get divorced meant divorcing them too, right? Like, they've been kind in the divorce, but you're not, it's different. But I've learned through a lot of hard lessons in life that if you're not true to yourself at all times, about career, about love, about friendships, you're going to be miserable, whether it's anxiety or insomnia. It comes out somewhere
Yeah.
if you're not true to yourself. Aging, sickness, being chronically unhappy, bitter, all the things, right? And I've actually lost, it's kind of weird for me to say this, and it's not even dark because they were really special people. I've lost 3 really close friends, way younger and more suddenly. They were really special people who really inspired me in my adulthood. Not like a childhood friend, like adult friends. And I think really young, it sunk in really fast. Like, life is short, make the most of it. Not to go out and deliberately hurt people, more like make sure you're doing the best you can and you can feel good about yourself and like you feel happy about the way you're living your life, right? Because it's going to go by like this for all of us. Truly, like, for anyone who's watching, I'm sure you can be like, I can't believe that was 10 years ago. Like, if you like, a memory comes up on some platform, or you're thinking of something, right? And then you fast forward 10 years and you're like, it's really easy to squander our lives, whether it's in a career we don't want, friendships that don't align, a relationship doesn't align. So that's like my little spiel on that. And honestly, my daughters, they were in middle school. It was not ideal. It's not the time, right? That's the time I think everybody would say, like, don't do this.
Right.
But I think even now on the back end, they would definitely say, like, having happy parents that are apart versus parents that are kind of like muddled and not cohesive and not close. I grew up with parents that they divorced when I was a young adult, but I knew at a young age that they were not a good marriage, and that's hard to watch. It's painful. So what I would say, as long as anyone who is in the middle of a divorce or getting divorced, to do it as kindly as possible and not bring the kids into it, not bring others into it, not make it about, what happened in your relationship is in your relationship. Dragging everyone else into it, that's when it gets really messy, and that's when the kids get hurt. So, my daughter is like, honestly, it's funny. This is a really interesting one, Ra, and this really, really struck me, especially as like feminist engineer Julie, right? So we get divorced, and my ex was like, oh, well, I want the girls halftime. And I said, yeah, of course. Like, to me, it was like, yeah, he's a great dad, very hands-on. And we were both living like in Hoboken, 3 blocks away from each other. So it was easy for the girls to go back and forth. And the response I got from women, this was so weird. I was like, whoa, like it was just, and this wasn't that long ago. It was only like 8 years ago. They would say, oh gosh, he's such a saint. He wants the kids. He wants them halftime. What a saint he is. And I was like, oh no, he's a really great dad. He's always been so hands-on, and they're really close. And I would never take the girls away from him with that. But then in the same conversation, or right away, they would follow that with, you're only going to see your kids half the time? Like, and I was like, I actually had to say to some good friends, I was like, okay, you just made him a saint, and you just tried to make me feel really bad about myself in the same sentence. And they weren't doing it with harm intended. It's just a cultural thing, I think, for people to look at it that way. What I found, especially at those tricky middle school and going into high school ages, was that having that kind of an arrangement of a week with me, a week with their dad, we would miss each other. Like, I couldn't wait for them to come back, and we wouldn't fight over like the dumb little things. It was more like sleepover party time, like when they would come back to me. So it created this really amazing closeness that we still have to this day, that I'm really, really thankful for. And I have wondered, had I like done more like what my parents did and just like hung in there and stayed married, like what would my relationship be like with my daughters had I done that?
Right.
If I wasn't living true to me, how could I be true in my relationship to them?
Right.
And yeah, so honestly, like it, and I'm very, very thankful that it's all worked out this way. I think what was interesting too, the pandemic, I live with my partner, my boyfriend now. During the pandemic, we all spent everything together. We were our own little pod. And I think for a lot of people, it became that way. It was like, okay, it's time to like, so, yeah. I don't know if that answered the questions, but like, I think, like I said to you earlier, I never said like, well, I'm married now. I got married, I was like 24. I was never like, well, I'm a married woman now, I have to behave a certain way. I was like, whatever. I live in Hoboken. I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm going to do my things. So when I was a stay-at-home mom, I, again, wasn't like, I'm a mommy now. I've always just been Julie whatever. I could be working in like a toilet paper plant, or getting married young, or being a stay-at-home mom, or traveling
the world.
Yeah. Doing TV. I started doing live TV in my 40s, which was crazy. Like I've done a lot of morning shows and stuff and cooking segments. Like I think another thing I would share with anyone out there is like a mantra of mine is say yes to the adventure. Like you really never know what could really light you up, or you could be surprisingly good at and find so much joy in, unless you just give it a shot. So no matter where you are in life or whatever you're doing, if something new comes your way and it's like kind of giving you a little like, or maybe even a little butterflies, like I'm a huge proponent of like, give it a shot and see what happens and see where it goes.
Yeah. Are you happy? Would you say you're happy?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have my moments. Like I've had the struggle. I think I have, for me, it's like anxiety. I think we all have like a thing, right? We all have like something. And it's not like sickness anxiety. It's more like what if anxiety. It's like busy brain, and that busy brain, that like demon comes out at night. So I've had to do a lot of self-work. I'm a big meditator now, which you never could have told me. I'm just someone who couldn't even like, now I use meditation apps at bedtime, or to settle myself. I journal. Like I've learned different, I think as humans in the world, it's our responsibility to kind of like learn what works for our, like, we're the owner operators of ourselves, right? Our psyche, our bodies. And it's like, what works for you? What brings you peace? What makes you happy? What keeps you calm? What lets you feel joyful? So like exploring those things has been really important to me too.
Okay, good. What advice would you give to anybody about career? What advice would you give to anybody about like switching careers later in life? And when I say later, I mean like late 30s. I'm asking for myself.
Asking for a friend.
Asking
for a friend. All right, girlfriend. Like, I mean, I'm sitting here saying like I've made great money. I've been successful. I've had a lot of fun. I've had a whole nother second career world, now stepping into a third one. Anything all I can say is I think we all have to just trust ourselves and say, if it lights me up, I'm going to be good at it and work hard at it. I might have to learn some things. I might have to go. I worked for free a little bit at the beginning, right? Or for like, I mean, talk about pay cut, right? From what I was doing, like tech management consulting, but trusting that, staying open. And like I said, that whole say yes to the adventure within your career change. I would say take on any, like, you don't have to know exactly what it is. I didn't go to culinary school knowing that at all. I had no idea. I was interviewing for jobs at Fresh Direct. I was opening a mommy and kid cooking school in Hoboken at one point. Like I was trying different things. Stay curious within your career change. So just go in the direction that makes you happy, like the subject matter that makes you happy, or the type of thing that makes you happy. And then when you get there, keep looking around, keep networking, keep saying, I'll volunteer for that, or I'll go to that event, or tell me what you do, and try things out. Like give yourself permission to play a little bit and try things out, and then see what path winds up being the right one for you, that works for you. And trust and know that you can still always change, right? Like you've just heard me talk through, I was joking. I'm like, oh gosh, is my career attention span like 12 years? Because like I've written so many recipes, I've done so many cooking demos, and now my boyfriend cooks a lot more than I do, unless it's for a work project for me. More like travel. They tie. So I would say go for it. You have to be happy. Don't stay stuck in we spend so much of our lives working, and that is something we do. We do. A lot of people do. We have bills. We have things we have to do. I certainly had bills. But what I'm getting at is like with some creativity, like for me, I worked for free at the culinary school in exchange for the tuition. I did it around my daughter's school schedule, so we didn't have to pay for sitters. Like there's like, if you get creative and scrappy. Now I was doing things that I was like 39 years old, running racks of wine glasses up and down the stairs at like midnight at the culinary school and taking the path back home and going. It was tiring, but I learned a lot. Like you can make it happen for yourself if it's something that's fun for you, but just like follow your joy, really.
Okay. I like that. Follow your joy. All right. Last couple of questions, because we've been on here for almost an hour.
Oh my God. I can hang out with you all day.
Listen, I'm going to call you when I call everybody after I interview them just to like check in. Sometimes the conversation is 15 minutes. Sometimes it's 2 hours. So.
Oh, this is so fun. Do you all love Raw? The Shifts and Giggles is so much fun. Yeah, all the hearts. And just being in your energy, Raw. Like we're friends and we get to talk and stuff and see each other, but like getting to see you in your element and shining and like this, and just like letting your amazingness out in this format is just, it's such a joy. So thank you for doing this. Seriously. And thank you again for having me on too.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you. Last questions. Favorite meal right now?
Oh gosh. That's
Can
so
you
hard.
pick just one? Is it possible?
Yeah. That's like I always joke. I'm like it's like asking your favorite kid. There's certain foods I can always eat. I could answer it that way, or I could say, we go through these phases. Brian, my boyfriend's on this like Indian cuisine kick right now, so he's like actually making paratha right now as we talk. I have a short attention span for food, so I'll say this, like if I've worked on a recipe, like I develop recipes, if I work on one for too long or make it too many times, I'm like, you're on the no-fly list for a little while, I'm a very seasonal eater. So, I'm still in the stage of, And that's not with like in a rules way. It's just in a, oh my gosh, it's so delicious. Like I just think some things are inherent. Like right now, like some kind of like tomato and corn kind of like chopped salad with like a tarragon vinaigrette, like light, bright, late summer flavors.
Uh-huh.
But like you were saying when we started our chat, knowing that fall and autumn squash
Yeah.
and like Dara, we talk about PSLs. I don't actually like sweet coffee, but I love pumpkin everything. I think Scorpios love everything like pumpkin and butternut squash and things. I think we like
I love
things from the when we're born.
a butternut squash soup.
Yes.
Or like a lentil and butternut squash soup for the
Yes.
fall.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Like a farro salad with chopped apple and roasted Brussels sprouts and like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
like for me, actually, the change of seasons. Like I said, I'm like a joyful person. I love change. So like the change of seasons for fashion, for weather, for food, all of it
Yeah.
together. It's like it's all wonderful to me. So like I'm just looking forward to that like transition from, right? You know what I mean? Like going from, so it's like, ooh, new set of crayons to play with, like new ingredients to play with. Yeah.
Right. And what trip are you looking forward to going on in the future?
Oh man, I want to go everywhere. I really want to go everywhere. But okay, immediate future. So I'm hosting a full group to Tuscany. So anyone watching too who wants to travel with me, please. There's small group trips. It's like traveling with girlfriends, no bigger than 15. It's like usually 12 to 15 women. I have another group going to Tuscany. I'm going to explore Ecuador and Galapagos for a new location. Yeah, because I think Ecuador has the Amazon, the Andes. You're getting a bunch of different ecosystems, an amazing culture, both from artisans and from ceviches and food and different things. And then the Galapagos with animals. Like I've never been, so I'm really, really excited. One of my closest friends from college is from Ecuador, and my younger daughter, her best friend is from Ecuador. So I have like a place in my heart for Ecuador. I really want to go. But the other place I'm going, and this is more just like a logical extension from Tuscany, I'm going to be in Sicily in November because I'm hosting a group for women to go with me to Sicily, kind of like light White Lotus vibes, but more digging into the women of Sicily. We're going to a women family-led bakery, women-led wineries on Mount Etna, seaside hotels with panoramic views, and we're going to a working farm inland. So for me, it's really fun. It's like I get to go scout out ahead of the trip, getting programmed and created, right? And then I offer it to people, they sign up and they come with me, and I get to watch them experience it. It's like watching people open a present that you bought them, right? Like I'm like this because I know what's coming and they don't, and I walk in behind them, and then to hear the women go, oh my god, and I get so happy and excited that they get to have that joyful aha moment of discovery when they go to this beautiful place, or they stay at this, or have this amazing meal, or meet this really inspiring woman. Like that to me is just like it's that joy of giving someone a present. That's how it feels. So
that's amazing, and those are going to be such great trips. I wish I was going.
Oh,
I wish I would go. Listen, I'm telling you, I'm like, I have to go on one of Julie's trips. I have to. I don't know when. Because I'm also planning a trip with my girlfriends next year to Bali.
Oh,
so
I have a friend in Bali. I've never been, and I have a friend that lives there who, if I don't go see her before she moves away, that would just be really dumb.
I've never been, but it has been on my list for years, and I'm just like, I want to go. And so we're in the process of planning. I know some of them are in the Zoom. I mean, in this live. We're in the process.
Well, you all hit me up, and I can reach out to my friend Paula. She runs her company there. It's a sweater company called Wooden Ship Knits, and I know her from Hoboken. Her sweaters are in made really cute boutiques.
Are they made
they've been
out of wood?
No,
they're
they're
or
hand
like some
knit.
sort of like
They're hand
because
knit.
Okay, because sometimes I watch shows and they like take materials like wood and they turn it into yarn or string or something like that. So that
they got the name. It was from a long time ago. I think from like a song maybe. Okay. But no, they're beautiful. Okay. But anyway, so if you need Bali tips, I can reach out to her. I can find out.
I'm gonna need some tips. Well, everyone, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Julie, thank you so much for taking an hour of your day to spend with us. I really appreciate it.
So much fun.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed this conversation, and yeah, I'm just so thankful that you're here, that you came on to chat with me
Oh,
on this Wednesday evening. Everybody, please, please, please go follow Julie at Julie Hartigan, JulieHartigan, Hartigan like cardigan and
yeah.
cardigan.
You're so cute. Rod, thank you for what you're doing and for creating this platform and for sharing everyone's stories and sharing your talents with everyone too. You're a gift. You really
Thank
are.
you so much. And I'm going to get on those t-shirts. I might do sweatshirts
Merch.
because it's
I want some
fall.
merch. Yeah, I want a
Yeah.
hoodie. I feel like lavender, cute white bubble letters. Like,
Okay,
yeah, I know.
Julie.
Hmm.
Okay. Brainstorm session. Everybody, please, please enjoy your Wednesday. It's a full moon, a blue moon. So if you can see it, go
Cool.
for it.
Oh, I'm gonna go up on my roof deck and check it out. All
Yeah.
right.
All right. Thank you
Bye.
again. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.